Welcome to the second and the final session of Decode Procrastination series. In session 1 of the Decode Procrastination series, we understood what is procrastination. We also got introduced to our feel-good mind and our doer mind. We also understood that procrastination is a conflict between our feel-good mind and our doer mind. In this session, we will get deeper into procrastination habits. We will divide procrastination into stages, and we will see how different things impact us differently at each stage of procrastination. We will then uncover strategies which can be used to deal with the causes of procrastination. So let's try to get deeper into the procrastination. This is where the magic is going to unfold itself. For the sake of our discussion, we can divide all personal projects into stages. I'm dividing this into stages because I want to decode this procrastination and divide it into small pieces so that we can understand it clearly. Every personal project can be divided into 2 stages. First stage of the project could be called as the inception stage or the pre-action stage. This is the stage where we all have the personal project in our heads, but no action has been taken yet. The second stage is the action stage. This is the stage where we have started the project with all the good intentions in our mind and have taken few steps towards it. So whenever we are procrastinating, we are stuck at either of these 2 stages. We are either stuck at the inception stage or we are stuck at the action stage. To get the most out of this session, I would request you to think about a personal project which you have been thinking of doing, but you have been procrastinating it for a while. We are going to look at a series of important issues which will help us in big way to overcome our delays. And we will look at the strategies as well to overcome them. So the first question is, what stage is your personal project? Is it at the inception stage or is it at the action stage? The reason I ask this question is because each stage have their individual challenges. So if you are at the inception stage, here is the next question. What are the consequences of not getting this task done? Before we get into this, let me explain why the question is important in the first place. Let us suppose you want to exercise, but you have been delaying it for a while. It means your feel-good mind is active and operational. What is the penalty here if you don't exercise? Your existence is not threatened, but deep down inside, you know something is chipping away. That something is your self-esteem. But no one sees it, so why bother? Now let's twist this situation a little bit. Let's say you went for a routine checkup and realize that you are diabetic. Just think what is going to happen now. The consequences of not doing the exercise is much higher now. It's the question of your existence now. How will your behavior change? Well, your doer mind is going to take the rein of your mind and you will start exercising. If the consequences of your procrastination is not grave, then your feel-good mind does not get into the panic mode and keeps in control of your mind. However, if there is too much at stake for you, then your feel-good mind hands over the rein to the doer mind. Do not wait for the consequence to become bigger than you. Start now. The next important thing for procrastination is our self-confidence. Self-confidence is something which stops you from participating in an activity. So let me ask you this question. Are you confident of your capabilities of accomplishing your personal project? If you are not confident, then you might just never start it. In this case, our feel-good mind feels threatened to start as it does not know a way out. As we have already discussed, if it gets threatened, it runs away and looks for distraction, and it usually goes back to its all-time favorite allies like internet, Facebook and others. So the question comes is, what do I do to gain self-confidence? There are a lot of things you can do to get past this. You can always seek help. You can always ask further questions like, what skills are you lacking? Can you outsource the task which you do not have the skill for? I think this is a place where a lot of personal coaches can help you to cross this barrier as well. See, you will never reach if you never start. The first step always is a belief that I can and I will. If self-confidence is not a problem for you, then we can proceed further. The next big reason for us not to start with any activity is boredom. We need to ask this question: is the activity which you are trying to do or attempt is boring? If the answer is yes, then there is very little chance we are going to progress further, unless we are forced to. Our feel-good mind does not like to get bored, and if it perceives the activity as boring, it will resort to its plan and summon up its allies. We need to do something to make this activity non-boring for us. Boredom is one cause which remains active during the entire journey of your personal project. It can affect you during the action stages as well. You can get bored anytime. What is your way of getting past across boredom? Can you make the task challenging for you in any way? A break perhaps might help for some time, but do not get tricked by your feel-good mind. It might just take you away for a long ride. So please watch out for it. So the next big thing which stops us from starting something is autonomy. Please ask yourself, the project you have chosen to work on, is it your project or is it someone else's project you are carrying? This question is very, very important. Even if it is someone else's project, are you convinced inside to do this project? This is very important question to be answered. If you're not convinced, you will not proceed. Remember, our doer mind likes autonomy and does not like to be controlled. So in this case, you need to look inside and ensure that you get this part of the job sorted. The next big thing which stops us from making a start is personal meaning. Are you getting any value out of the project? Now please ask yourself about the personal project you have chosen. Has it got any personal meaning for you? Are you getting any benefit out of it? If the answer is yes, then this is an advantage. This will, however, not ensure that you will start the task. The other thing which hampers us from starting the personal project is the distance of the goal or reward. Remember, our feel-good mind is short-sighted. It does not look too far ahead. You might not start until you think that you are threatened or might incur some kind of a loss. So, the strategy over here could be that you can break the task into smaller goals and attach timelines to it to make the goal shorter for you. Last but not the least, the thing that hampers us from starting a personal project is a psychological risk. Now, I can dedicate entire 2-3 hours video to cover this topic, but for the relevance of this discussion, I'm going to keep this short. Our feel-good mind likes to protect itself, and it can go to any length for its protection. If the feel-good mind feels threatened, then it starts playing tricks with us. I'm going to talk about a few tricks it plays with us. So if you are competitive by nature, and if you believe that you do not have a chance to win in any activity which you want to participate in, then your mind plays trick with you and you might just never start the activity. This might happen because your feel-good mind hates embarrassment and failure, and it hates to lose. It can also play a trick like all or none trick with us. Either I do it in the best possible way or I don't do it at all. Most of the times you do not start things because you want to make a perfect start. And this is where your feel-good mind plays this trick with you. So before we move on to our next stage, I'm going to quickly sum up the things which you need to look at if you are unable to start with a personal project. These are: first, consequences or the cost you're going to pay if you delay the project further. Second is your self-confidence to achieve the personal project. If you don't have the confidence, you will not achieve. Third is boredom. If you're bored, you will not start. Fourth is autonomy. You need to be convinced. Fifth is the distance of the goal or reward. And sixth are the psychological risks. So if you're getting stuck because of any of the reasons above, then you might see yourself indulging in the activities like you might raid your refrigerator, you might overeat, start surfing the web, you might start watching porn, might indulge in drinking, etc. I'm sure that this is not something you want to indulge in. My sincere advice for you to get past this stage is to get started. Please do not wait for the perfect day to come. Just start and eventually you will learn. There are a lot of benefits in getting started. You will realize that things are not as difficult as you thought they were. Second, since you have started, you will not feel negative. Third, you will feel more in control. Progress on our goals makes us feel happier and more satisfied with life. We start handing over the control of the mind from our feel-good mind to our doer mind. You think you are not able to get started probably because you are focused on your feelings, which are negative, and you are thinking about the whole task, about getting it done, as opposed to getting it started. The trick is to find something that you can get started with. So get started. Now let's move on to the next stage and to our last section. Let's see what kind of reasons blocks us when somehow we have managed to take a few steps and we have gone past the inception stage. People start with a lot of vigor, but things die down pretty soon. What happens in this case? An important factor which lets people down is overestimation of their capabilities during the inception stage. We make a promising start, but at a later stage when difficulty strikes, we give up on the project, as that is something which is beyond our capability, and we find ourselves struck in no man's land. This is when our feel-good mind gets a sniff and it starts taking the control of our mind. It starts tricking us and all kind of negative thoughts start coming in our minds. The control of the mind shifts from doer mind to the feel-good mind. The other reason we fail or falter at the action stage is by underestimating the time required to achieve a task. Whenever we are estimating about the future, we are generally more optimistic than we should ideally be. So this is called as planning fallacy. When we overestimate our abilities or underestimate the time required, we become overwhelmed and stress and frustration starts taking over. And this is the time when our feel-good mind starts taking over as well. It takes over the reign of our mind and it starts resorting to its old tricks. You move back to your familiar patterns and start avoiding the task. My advice here would be to be realistic in your approach during your planning. Another reason we falter at the action stage is when you find it difficult to structure a problem. Well, what do I mean by structure? See, a bigger project is made up of small tasks or subtasks. More often than not, it happens that we start looking too far across and things start looking difficult to us as we are unable to see the end. Also, when you think about this activity in your mind, you do not see a clear image. This image is a little hazy and this creates confusion. Remember, when our doer mind starts losing its capacity to see the image clearly, we start feeling frustrated and our feel-good mind starts taking over. So what is the strategy to go past across this barrier? The best we can do is break the bigger things into small manageable chunks and then start biting them one at a time. Remember, inch by inch, it's a kinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. You can also seek help from an expert in this area, and this should resolve your problem. Probably this person can be a life coach. There is also one last area which we need to discuss, and that is your personality, and it plays a big part. You need to ask yourself, are you impulsive by nature and get distracted easily? If this is the case, then it would be very difficult for you to build the desired momentum to take the project to its end. Your feel-good mind is super active and requires super willpower and tactics to take care of this issue. My advice for you would be to avoid all the distractions. You can keep your cell phone away and shut yourself off, but this requires a lot of willpower and a strong resolve to get past across and complete your project. So let me sum up the issues which might come up during the action stage. So first one we talked about was overestimation of your own capabilities. The second one was underestimating the time required to complete a project. Third is missing a structure during the tasks. And the fourth is being impulsive and being distracted. So I'm summing up our discussion over here. All our procrastination is a struggle between our feel-good mind and the doer mind. Our awareness of which mind is operational is going to do wonders to us. Knowledge is power. If we know where exactly are we stuck, we can always apply the strategies discussed to take our personal projects to completion. You can utilize the guides given in the link below to dissect your procrastination habit. In case you have got any questions around it, please feel free to send an inquiry to info@idesignmylife.net, or you can post a comment. We will make sure that we will get back to you. Thank you very much. If you have liked the session, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll come up with more informational videos like this. Thank you and have a nice day.